Hi, first graders, it's Mrs. Belatesh, and I'm here today to talk about two new environments. We've talked about the rainforest and the tundra, and they're really different. The rainforest is warm and wet, and the tundra is cold and dry. We've talked about the desert and the temperate forest. The desert is very dry. It gets less than 10 inches of rain a year. And the temperate forest has got cold times and hot times, but it always has plenty of water, whether it's rain or snow. Today, we're going to talk about the pond and the grassland. So really focus on how these two habitats, these two different environments are different. A pond. Water lilies live in ponds. Their roots grow in the mud at the bottom of the pond. In the spring, they grow big leaves called pads. The pads come up to the surface where they can get sunlight. If the pond freezes in the winter, the leaves die. Dead leaves are winter food for animals living under the ice. Frogs and perch live in ponds. Grassland. Grasslands have a lot of grass, but they don't have many trees. Summers are warm and sunny. Winters are cool. Summer rain and winter snow provide water for plants and animals. In the fall, the grass turns golden and dies. Sometimes wildfires burn across the dry grassland. Fire keeps trees and bushes from growing in the grassland. Grasses thrive after a fire. Prairie dogs and hawks live in grasslands. Okay, now we know a little bit about the pond and the grassland. I have some cards. Let's see if we can figure out which animal goes in each habitat. The first animal is pretty clear. It's a mallard duck, and ducks have webbed feet for swimming. So I would say that this definitely belongs in the pond. An aquatic snail. So aquatic means water. So that's pretty clear that it lives someplace with a lot of water. Here's one. A pronghorn antelope. The pronghorn antelope is the fastest animal in North America. It can run up to 110 kilometers per hour. So it wouldn't be able to do that in a pond. So it lives in the grassland. Here is a grasshopper. Grasshopper's strong back legs help it jump quickly from plant to plant. Well, grasshopper, that might give you a hint. It lives in the grassland. A turtle. Turtles will quickly move into the water if a predator is near. The pond. Prairie rattlesnake. Well, the word prairie gives it away right there. And snakes, this type of snake does not live in the water. This lives in the grassland. Black-tailed prairie dog. Okay, again, there's that word prairie that gives us a hint, but here's their adaptation. Prairie dogs live in large groups and they make tunnels. Okay, so you make tunnels when you live in a grassland, not when you live in a pond. Cattails. The tiny seeds of the cattail are attached to fluffy down and are carried away on the wind. They grow in very wet, moist environments. That's a pond. Brook trout. So a fish lives in water, right? Not in the grass. So it lives in the pond. A ferruginous hawk. A hawk has good eyesight and strong claws to catch prey hiding in the grasses. Well, it's from the grassland. A mayfly. Crowds of adult mayflies emerge from the water at the same time and swarm near the shoreline to mate. Well, they live in the pond. Blue grama grass. I think that's a funny name, grama grass. The grass seeds are spread by wind and carried by animals in their fur. Well, there are not furry animals that live in the pond, so this is the grassland. Lesser prairie chicken. Well, the name right there says prairie, which means a grassland. A toad. Toads can breathe through their skin when their skin is moist. Pond. A salamander. Just like the toad, a salamander can also breathe through its moist skin. It lives in a pond. A cottonwood tree grows near wet areas. So a cottonwood tree grows near a pond and in a grassland. It kind of is in both environments. Get out your science notebook and we're going to start with drawing a picture of a pond. So first of all, I wrote a little bit about a pond. Ponds have fresh water. When I talk about fresh water, I don't mean that it's coming out of the faucet and it's nice and clean. I mean it's not salty. So ponds have fresh water. Water lilies grow in ponds. Fish and frogs live in ponds. And then I drew a very simple picture because I'm not a great artist, and I show some water lilies and I show some fish, and I could not draw a picture of a frog. Maybe you guys can do a better job than I did. And now I wrote about a grassland. Grass grows in grasslands. Prairie dogs and hawks live in grasslands. There are not many trees because the grass may burn in the fall. And so I drew a picture of lots of grass. I have a hawk flying and I have a tiny little prairie dog coming out of a tunnel. First graders, you have done a terrific job. Next week, we are going to start on our engineering project, and we're going to be using something called biomimicry. See you next week, guys.